What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the Buy the Hood podcast or webcast, because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show, that is with gratitude. I want to say thank you to all of our supporters. Anyone who listens to the podcast audio, subscribes to the YouTube channel, Buy the Hood University, MDC Strategy, the Buy the Hood Ownership Camps. Just want to say really appreciate all the support of everything that we do. It's actually a special episode. I'm by myself. My partner Corey isn't here right now. He has a lot going on down in Houston as he gets settled into his new surroundings. But I wanted to come on and make this podcast. It's like a day later, so because we be out in the trenches, so we got a lot going on. By the way, side note, just put a couple apartments up. Anybody looking for? Actually, I got a whole house for rent and an apartment. So anybody in the Philly area look for that, hit me up. But that's a side note. But we out in the trenches, kind of living what it is that we teach and we talk about, which is Black wealth and personal finance, right? So our channel and all our content is surrounded around Black wealth as well as personal finance, right? So if you're tuning in for the first time, that's what we talk about. But I wanted to come on and create this little short episode because I got some information yesterday, and I was discussing it with someone and their reaction. I was like, let me do a video about that, which is the new limits for retirement accounts, whether that's an IRA, deferred compensation, 401k. So if you're listening to this, you won't be able to see what I'm showing, but I'm showing just a quick guide with what the new limits are. If you are watching this on video, which our videos do air on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page, and our podcast can be found everywhere. So please make sure you subscribe, share it with your family and friends, and give us some feedback on all the podcast platforms. Hopefully 5 stars. But it's talking about the limits for 2024, right? So I know we're talking about 2024 already, but it's November of 2023. This year has flown by, at least it's flown by for me. But 2024, we have new limits coming about. And I think this is important to talk about because I know a lot of people out there are on social media, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all that. And I hear a lot of slander for some of these retirement accounts. But in my opinion, these are some of the most powerful accounts out there. And before I get into specifics about what you can stack in these accounts and all that, I do want to say that anything that I share on here is for educational purposes. It's not investment advice. I am not your fiduciary. This is not financial advice. So I don't want to hear you say, Jimmy told me to do this, because I'm not telling anybody to do anything. Just thought I'd share this information. I like sharing information and data on our platform. But I think if you understand how to utilize these accounts, they can be a very, very, very powerful tool as it pertains to building wealth, right? I'm always shocked when I meet someone who has a 401k account and they have a match and they don't take advantage of it, right? Because, it's like free money. You get 100% return up to whatever percentage that may be. And I know sometimes people will try to make the argument it's not a good deal because of fees, but if you're able to look within your retirement account and find out what fund that you're buying into, you can see what the fees are for that fund. Vanguard has a lot of tremendous funds with low expense ratios, low fees, and you can build wealth in these accounts because they allow you to do a lot of things, right? So let's talk about the Roth IRA, which is outside of your job, but it's something that you're able to contribute to. So you have a traditional IRA and you have a Roth IRA. There are limits to being able to contribute to a Roth, and not trying to get too technical, but if you cross those limits, you can do a backdoor Roth. But these plans are very powerful if you know how to utilize them, because you can stack a lot of money into IRAs and you can get tax-free growth, right? Tax-free growth is essential because your money is just compounding and compounding and compounding. But you also can take advantage of plans that work, such as a 401k. If you happen to work in the school system or nonprofit or government work, you might have a 403b or a 457 plan. But if you look at what's on the screen here, and then if you're just listening, I'll read it. The IRS on Wednesday increased the annual individual contribution limits for a 401k or 403b in most 457 plans to $23,000 a year. That's up from $22,500 this year. The IRA actually went up too. The IRA was 60. I'm trying to remember what it was. 6,500. It's now $7,000. But what's interesting about it is this: if you're 50 or over, you can do what's called catch up. You could put a little bit more in. You could put up to 8,000 in the IRA, and I think like 30,500 in one of the other plans like the 401k, 403b, and 457 on the catch up. But this allows you to stash a nice amount of money in these accounts and build these accounts up. You can almost build a fortress just using the 401k, 403b, and 457. But what's powerful is if you have a 401k, 403b, or 457, you can also have an IRA. You're able to have both. So think about it. Just between the two accounts, forget if you're 50. Let's say you're below 50. I know our audience looking at the information skews from like 25 to 55. But most of our folks are younger than 50 years old that listen to any of our content. So let's say you're lower than 50, right? Which means that going into 2024, you can contribute $23,000, right? $23,000 at work if you have a 401k, 403b, or 457, and another $7,000 in an IRA. That means you're able to put up $30,000 into retirement accounts on an annual basis. I know that $23,000, if you get paid every 2 weeks, that's like $800 or something bucks, $850, something like that. So I'm not sure how many people actually are able to max that out, but if you can get to the point where you can max that out, it's very, very powerful. Now, thinking this through as I'm talking to you guys, if you can max out 23,000, you're probably making it so much money that you don't fall under the limits for the IRA, which is like 120 something thousand. If you're single, and a different number if you're married. So if you're able to max out one, you probably can't contribute to the other. That's when you go into the idea of using a backdoor Roth. So, you may want to Google that. I'm not going to get into all the strategies and specifics within this pod, but Google backdoor Roth IRA and you'll see what I'm saying. There's a couple of things I want you to Google. I want you, and we've mentioned this on the pod before, I want you to Google Mitt Romney. Yes, the old presidential candidate, Mitt Romney IRA, so you can see how he was able to utilize this to grow all kinds of wealth within his IRA. I want you to Google that. I want you to Google backdoor Roth IRA so you can see how powerful that strategy can be. But let's see. Let me grab a calculator real fast. So if we're talking about, I know it's close to, it's like 8 and some change, but let's get the exact number. If you're talking about putting $23,000 annually, if you get paid every 2 weeks, that's $884 per check. That's how much you would have to put up out of your paycheck to max out on a retirement account offered at your job. $885. Now, if you're able to do that, you're probably making more than a limit to contribute to the Roth. But like I said, that's where the backdoor Roth kicks in. So let's just say you can contribute the max to the Roth. That's another $7,000 starting next year, divided by 26, another $269 every 2 weeks. So you could do it weekly or monthly. If you did $7,000 a month, that's like $583 a month. So that should be a goal for a lot of folks, right? Make that your goal. Make it your goal to max out your Roth, max out what you have at work. And you put it into, I'm not going to tell you what to put it into because, like I said, not investment advice. I can tell you what I personally do. Any sort of thing I get from any employer or any sort of IRA, most of my stuff goes right into the S&P 500. And just consistently do this. You do this for a 10-year period, you will change your family, your whole family's trajectory and your personal life because you build up a little war chest that allows you to operate different. And I know a lot of people say, well, I don't want my money tied up in those accounts. What if I need liquidity? Thing about it is, again, you can pull out of the Roth IRA what you put in, not the gains, but what you put in. That's one way. A lot of times when you have retirement accounts and you apply to borrow, they'll look and see what you have and you can leverage them that way. You can set up, I don't want to get too technical, but a self-directed Roth 401k. Shout out to my sister, Courtney, the Ivy investor. She put me down with this a couple years back where you can set up a self-directed Roth 401k and almost use it like a bank where I can borrow from it, pay myself back. So there's a lot of things that you can do within these specific accounts. That Roth 401k, which takes the best of the 401k and the best of the Roth, is so powerful, especially if it's self-directed, because I can invest in precious metals. I can buy real estate in there. It doesn't have to be any specific funds that are offered to me by any of the fund managers. So there's a lot of ways you can use these accounts. But I wanted to make this video to let everyone know that the limits are increasing. And if you don't do yourself anything else, it's November now. Between now and the end of the year, just do some research on what works best for you. Find out from your job, do they offer a 401k or 403b or 457? What's the match, if there is any match? Start to do the calculations about how to max out a Roth IRA. If you make more than 100, say 120, 125,000, I'm not sure the exact limit. I don't have that in front of me. But if you make more than that, just start saving it in a savings account until you figure out what whether you cross the threshold, and then do the backdoor Roth, right? But you want to make sure you're doing the most you can to get money into these various accounts, because this, like I said, this can be, your little safety net. You can forget all the flashy stuff you see online, the no money down real estate nonsense, all this, all that, right? You forget all that. You do these things right here, and you can change the trajectory of your family, right? And that it's just everyday man thing. You go to work, put into your retirement, but you have to be smart with it. I know a lot of people are anti 401k. They want the old school pensions to come back, and that's another thing. If you do happen to work in the school district or the government, and you do still have an old school pension, because those are out there. You might work city government, you might work state government, and you still have the old school pension that exists. You still can do these things. So now you'll have a regular pension, a deferred compensation account, whether that's 401k, 403b, 457, and a Roth IRA. Man, listen, I'm telling you, the sky's the limit. But I want to make sure that this information is out there. If you have any questions or need any help with anything, shoot us a message. You can email us buythehoodllc@gmail.com. Again, we're not financial advisors. We just share information about Black wealth and personal finance. But we do like to help individuals. And I'm not, trying to sell you anything at all. But if you need help, make sure to reach out, because we're all about helping folks. If you're interested in our membership group, that's mdcstrategy.com. That's where we're at full time, in terms of sharing information on a daily basis. But I think this is important. This is very simple. It's not too complex. It's just a matter of having discipline, setting it up, and dollar cost averaging. Is continuously doing this, like using the plans that are already in front of you and build wealth that way, not looking for the lottery ticket or, the fast trade or this, that, and the third. Like, don't get me wrong. We do trade. We love to trade, but that's a small part of what we do. Most of what we do are the fundamentals being the deferred compensation, being the IRAs, right? Being, for me personally, single family residential rentals. My trifecta is simple. I buy Bitcoin, I buy single family rentals, and I buy Vanguard ETFs, and I mind my business. And it's just that simple. Nothing fancy, nothing flashy. But over time, it's what works. It gives you a level of protection, and it can take care of you as well as the next generation. So again, reach out if you have any questions. Make sure to share this video and all of our content. Go to the podcast platforms and leave us some feedback on that as well. Every Friday, 7 p.m., we are live. We're live on YouTube as well as Facebook. We jump on every Friday, talk about what's going on in the world. And, that show, we talk about a lot more than, Black wealth and personal finance. We be talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. But we also do a giveaway every Friday. We give away some Bitcoin to randomly to some person who's watching along, as part of the show with us. So we have fun every Friday, 7 p.m. That's on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. Everything is at Buy the Hood. Again, we want to say we appreciate you guys for all the support as always. We love you. Stay safe. And as we always say, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you guys in our next episode. Peace.